So this is Len Davis with Pangelity Productions. We're down here just off a sort of freelard between Fremont and Ballard, and we're at the Western Tugboat Company?
Western Towboat Company.
Towboat Company. We're working on a story for the Seattle Channel about the maritime industry and sort of the future of the industry and getting young people involved and interested in careers in the maritime industry. And one portion of the story is right here inside of a tugboat with Western Tugboat. And Rick is the owner of a third-generation tugboat company who is primarily responsible for shipping gear up and down all kinds of, you're a little back there, it's hard to see, Rick, but shipping containers and gravel and sand and food and TVs and anything that needs to go up to Alaska is going on a boat like this. They have a fleet, they're leaving a couple times a week, and they're taking these tugboats that are pulling barges, right?
Correct.
Pulling barges that have all kinds of stuff. This is Penny Legate, the reporter on the story.
Hi.
A little backlit, hard to see her, but we've worked on all kinds of stories together. And this is their fleet of tugboats.
Aren't they pretty?
Yeah. So it's just amazing. These guys are... tell me a little bit about the journey, Rick. How long does it take to get from here to Juneau, Alaska? Come, turn in profile. That'll work awesome.
So, it takes about 4 to 5 days. We travel about 10 miles an hour. It's about 850 miles to Juneau, so it's about 85 hours plus 2 or 3 stops in between. One of the boats just got back from Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. They made a 2-month trip down there and back, and
That's through the Panama Canal?
through the Panama Canal.
On a tug like this?
Similar to this, yeah. And we've been down to Chile and brought a big yacht back to be worked on here in Seattle, and up to Midway Island to do some environmental cleanup work a few years ago. So kind of travel all over. We go up in the Arctic every summer to Red Dog Mine and haul general cargo up in that area. Been to Prudhoe Bay. So kind of go wherever we can find to do things.
Amazing. So one of the things that interested me was what you were talking about, Seattle's role in the growth of Alaska as a state of the 50 United States.
Yep. Everything comes through the port of, or about 80% of everything comes through the port of Seattle, not so much the port of Seattle, but through the city of Seattle, through some port facilities, some private facilities, because there are no roads. There's one road from here to Alaska, and once it gets there, it only goes to one place. So none of the towns in the southeast part of Alaska are connected by road other than the Alaska ferry system. So that's so we do the supplying through Alaska Marine Lines of containerized goods to most of the towns and villages of southeast Alaska.
How much is a boat like this one that we're on worth? If you were to turn around and say, I mean, maybe it's priceless. You've said it's been in operation for decades or something, right?
Yeah, this is about a 10-year-old boat. If it was purchased in a shipyard today, it would probably be in the $18 to $20 million.
And how many do you have in your fleet?
We have 6 of this particular model, and we have a fleet of 22 boats right now.
Nice. And how often are they leaving your port and going up and
We
back?
leave here 3 times a week. 2 boats leave on Wednesday, and 1 boat leaves on Friday for Alaska every week.
Nice. And you don't even necessarily have any idea what you're hauling, right?
We get a cargo manifest, but yes, until we get to the barge, we have no idea what's on it.
Huh. And is that considered an international journey to go from here to Alaska?
No, we have a treaty with Canada for transiting Canadian waters from here to southeast Alaska.
Got it. Amazing. So, I mean, this is where the captain sits, and this is all the gear. Does he listen?
There's no steering wheel.
There's no steering wheel.
No, it's like joysticks.
Does he listen to music while he's up here
I
driving?
have a satellite radio for news and information. Here's the steering wheel.
There's a steering wheel.
There's the steering wheel.
Yeah, look at that.
All right.
There's 2 of them, one for each drive unit. So
Cool.
when the throttle is built into that, that's the throttle anymore.
And how many
steering?
How many gallons of fuel does it take to get from here up to Alaska and back?
This boat burns about 180 gallons an hour. So.
And did you say 35,000
this
tons?
boat, well, yeah, this boat will burn about for a trip to southeast Alaska will burn about 30 to 35,000 gallons of fuel in a
And how much is
10-day trip.
how much is diesel fuel at a gallon these days?
It's actually come down, but it's right about $3 a gallon.
So 3 times 35,000, it's $100,000 worth of fuel every round trip you make on a boat like this?
Yes, it is.
A round trip, not one
Round
way.
trip,
Right. $100,000.
just in fuel. So when they talk about, you know, the price of gas and the price, you know, everything runs on diesel oil. If you think about it, the plastics that's made to build the radar in the pilot house, any manufacturing that requires heat runs off of diesel oil or natural gas. Gasoline is a very small part of the oil industry. It's more, you know, avgas for jet planes to diesel oil for tugboats. So
$100,000 in fuel
for a 10-day trip,
for a 10-day trip, and you have 6 boats a week doing that?
3 boats a week.
3 boats a week.
Yeah.
So how many
We-
cases of wine do you have to get up to Alaska to make this?
Well,
Make
we
money.
don't have anything to do with the freight side, so I don't know what they get for all that.
Wow.
But, you know, that'll be towing a barge with the equivalent of 600 20-foot containers. So,
Is it in any way possible to put a value on a typical shipment like that in terms of...
oh, it's millions of dollars. I have no idea.
Wow. And that $100,000 is borne specifically by your company?
Well, we do the first fueling of the vessel, then the customer replaces the fuel so that every time the boat comes back it gets refilled up, because the price of fuel changes anywhere from 2 cents to 10 cents a day. So there would be no way for me to be able to tell you on a 2-week trip what that fuel is going to cost when we return.
So a massive fluctuation is a huge...
Oh yeah, it's terrible. A 10-cent price difference, $1,000, you know.
Right. Wow. Amazing. Well, Rick, thank you so much for giving us a
Yeah.
tour of your boats and talking about your business. It's
Yeah.
fascinating. Anything you want to add, Miss Penny?
I'm just ready to go to Alaska on a tugboat.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, let's go.
Great. So there's their fleet. Pretty amazing. This is Fremont right here. I mean, how many people living in Fremont and Ballard really have any clue? You see all these boats down here and you know there's this whole maritime industry, but for the most part you have no idea about where these boats are going and how they operate and what they look like inside and out. There's a dry dock. There's some old ferries right there, or tugs that belong to the ferry system. So it's Len Davis. We're here in Seattle. We're talking about the maritime industry and the future of jobs with young people working in this industry. And we're just checking out some tugboats, shooting this on my iPhone just to give you a sense of what we're working on. It's going to be on the air on the Seattle Channel in the next couple of weeks, and should be a cool story.